Okay, what are you saying, people, and welcome back to my channel. Now today, like always guys, I've got another weekly analysis for you guys. So on the screen are the pairs we'll be analyzing today, but make sure you stay to the end of the video because I will be going into depth analysis about what's happened during last week and potentially what could happen during next week as well. So make sure you stay to the end of the video for that. Well, for that said guys, let's just get straight into it. Okay, so up first we've got Euro USD. So as you can see for this pair, a nice push to the upside this week. Still treating this as retracement. Our overall bias for Euro USD is the downside, but as you can see, some quite heavy retracement this week. Looking to short the euro early in the week, but as you can see, we're still looking quite bullish there. We were looking at the likes of this level here. This is where I was first expecting to see a bounce for Euro USD from my analysis last week, and also this area here as well. Simply just support and our term resistance, but as you can see, Euro USD was just quite strong this week. Well, US dollar was quite weak, hence Euro USD pushing up, breaking through both of those levels. Had a bit of a reaction from the second level this week, but with the news coming in just on Friday there, prices breaking through those levels quite firmly. So as of right now, Euro USD is looking quite bullish, but we do have to keep in mind we are still in a bearish market here on the higher time frames. The daily is still bearish, and we are still making lower lows and lower highs. So for next week, I'm still looking for sales for Euro USD. We well could push up a little bit more, but I still think the bigger moves to the downside. And if you're really looking to catch those pips, I think the sales will be better than the buys this week. So I've got two areas that I'm looking at to get involved for Euro USD. We're actually in that area right now. The first area that I'm looking at, which is this 1.18 area. Nice psychological level and potential double top here in the market. As you know, resistance holds in downtrends and support holds in uptrends. So we are expecting to see some type of reaction here for Euro USD. We do have all of this momentum coming in from the news, so we might spike above it. But overall, if you can hold this firmly, nice wick rejection, some nice confirmations, can look for some selling opportunities to take this down. Again, looking at probably this area first, because we well could come here and bounce back up again, or potentially back down to those lows again for Euro USD, which I do think we can get back to if we keep up this bearish momentum there. So yeah, Euro USD from this area here, 1.18 double top, potential nice area to short. First target 1.17300, next target will be 1.167, essentially the lows. Or I'm also looking at this level here as well, which is this previous low here. Gave us a nice push to the upside, and now will be term resistance. So this is originally the level that I was expecting Euro USD to get to when we were pumping to the upside here, but then we dropped. So I think now if we do break through this level, because again liquidity will be above this level, massive move to the downside, a lot of people would have shorted there, a lot of stop losses up there, so we could hunt for some stop loss, grab some orders, grab some liquidity, spike into this area. Nice area of supply there as well, around the 1.18500, so another psychological level as well. So we could push up past this level into this level and then see the drop, which is still a good thing, because if we do stay patient and price does push to that, you know, the risk reward is much better. So yeah, more pips to catch, and overall better trade as well. So looking at these two levels here for Euro USD, 1.18 and 1.18500. Again, wait for that price action, wait for those confirmations, and then get involved. Don't get involved blindly, because you know you could get stopped out quite easily. So overall, still bearish bias for Euro USD, despite seeing the momentum to the upside this week. Got these two levels that we're looking at for selling opportunities. First one we're at right now, there's not much there. So again, coming into Monday morning, monitor price action, and if you can get anything, some nice shorts could be looking good for next week. And again, good risk to reward if you do pump to the downside there, or if we do push up, grab some liquidity, we'll be looking at 1.18500 for some more shorts all the way back down to these lows down there. And now next we're going to take a look at USD JPY. So for this pair, we're expecting more downside this week. Essentially not really much happened. As you can see, we're pretty much just staying in this area here. The market haven't really gone anywhere, but our bias is still to the downside for this pair. If I drop to the lower time frames, you can see we have this area of resistance that that we were looking to sell at if the market did come back into. As you can see, it did come in a couple of times and it is still holding. So our first area we were looking at trading was from here to the downside. Did see a nice kind of wick into that. It fell to the downside and came back again later in the week. A bit of a false move to the upside. Again, that was the news coming in. As you can see, that level there is holding really nicely. We were also looking at a break of this level here in shorting on the retest, but as you can see, we didn't really have any confirmed break there. A bit of a false break there on Tuesday maybe, or Wednesday. A bit of a false breakout, but we came right back above and pushed to the upside. So overall, again, our bias is still the same. Essentially, USD JPY, like I said in the daily, is pretty much just moving sideways. We've got consolidation here, but I do think for USD JPY will break into the downside. I think this is potentially our lower high here, and we're going to see a continuation to the downside. So like Euro USD, our bias is to the downside. We'll be waiting for some shorting opportunities. Again, if you can be looking to short from when price comes back to here, that looks like a good area. Again, we're really rejecting that really nicely. So if you do come back into there, that would be a nice place to get short again. Stops above the wicks and looking for a big move to the downside, because if we do roll over to the downside, we're most likely going to come back to these lows here. So you know, the reward is looking quite good. Or you could look for the breakout of this support, which is probably the safer option, because we could still come the downside for USD JPY and just, you know, reject that support and just keep consolidating. So the less risky trade would be a break of that support, and then on the retest getting short and looking for the move to the downside. But again, if you're looking for that risk reward, you know, getting up there will be you know, a better reward, more pips to catch. So you know, it's up to you which one you prefer. I'll probably be looking to see if you can get another test up here, look for a lower high, then take it back down again. And if I do need to, you can get stops to break even, secure some profit if we do start rejecting off that support again quite strongly. So we'll be looking at this push to around this level here. It might not quite come there, so do be on your toes a little bit, because it has already tested that a few times, so it might make a lower high just below. So do watch out for that. But from generally this area, looking for shorts, or on the break and retest looking for shorts, and both trades will be aiming to these lows here around 108,700. Okay, so now on my screen I've got USD CAD. So for this pair, massive move to the downside this week, as you can see there. A big drop. The two areas that we were looking at to get into some longs, because our bias is to the upside. You know, USD CAD is firmly in a bullish trend. Even though we had that massive collapse to the downside, we are still in a bullish market. We're still making higher highs and higher lows. But the two areas of interest was this level here, 1.26, and this level here around 1.27800. As you can see, we smashed through there, so there's really no, you know, sign of us reversing, no, you know, valid entry there. And then we came into this area, start the stall, start the consolidate, and as you can see, we did have a really nice push to the upside. So we're looking at these two areas, and so far 1.26 is still holding coming into next week. So my bias for USD CAD is still to the upside. Very strong momentum candle here, so we well could break to the downside. Do be aware of that. We're coming back into that same area. So again, I will be looking for longs in this area, because we could just be coming back for a double bottom. So longs could be looking good, and targets will be this area again, resistance there. No need to really target all the way up there. You can do if you want, a little bit aggressive, because we might come back down again, especially because this is so impulsive. But that looks like a good target there around 1.27800. We also do have this trend line here as well, which will be acting as support. So if I just draw it in now, so you can see connecting all these wicks here, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So it could be coming back for a sixth test of that. So we'll be looking at an area kind of combined with the confluence of that trend line and that support, so you can get a nice bounce there. And then yeah, trade it back to 1.27800. But if we do break through, no worries there, because this point here is our last higher low. So the market could potentially pull back all the way to this area before pushing back up again. So the next area we'll be looking at is this support here, 1.25, kind of the next psychological level from 1.26, 1.25. We could push down into this area here, you know, false break through that trend line, confuse people, test this area, and then push to the upside. So kind of two areas we're looking at there for USD CAD. If we do push this area and we do see some nice buys there, we'll be looking at this resistance 1.26, because that could, you know, send us back down again, the break a retest of that trend line. So we'll look for a move back into here from 1.25. If you can get back above, then yeah, we can really start to push that trade all the way back up there again. But yeah, USD CAD, we'll be looking at longs from 1.26 and 1.25 as well. And yeah, depending on the price action we get, which will depend which level we try to buy from, all that momentum there might mean that we might push through 1.26, but you know, we could easily just have a false break just to retest that trend line and then push on. So be on your toes. But yeah, USD CAD, more buys back up to 1.27800.
Sorry to interrupt the video, guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you find it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to Euro Pound. So for this pair, we're expecting more upside this week. We kind of saw neither really. We did see some nice upside coming into the later stage of the week, but really we haven't really gone anywhere since last week. We kind of closed here, and as you can see, we're closed there this week. So I'm still expecting that upside. As you can see, if I go in the daily time frame, we're still above this trend line here, which is for me kind of the main aspect, main technical aspect that is giving my bias to the upside. As you can see, we had a really nice downtrend here, false break there, came back above. I'm anticipating this is the true break, so I'm expecting to see a lot more upside coming in for Euro Pound. Last week we're looking at buys from this area, a nice thick area of daily support. As you can see, support, bit of a false break, support, got below, retested that resistance, came down. So we're looking for a retest of that area around the 0.85 mark. We did tap into it quite nicely, formed a nice double bottom there, and then did push up. So the market is responding to our levels quite nicely there, Euro Pound, and we're still expecting more upside. Again, targets are all the way up here, basically at these highs around 0.86500. So a lot more upside I'm expecting for Euro Pound. So if you can get into a swing for this, it could be a really nice swing trade to the upside. It does look like price is failing to push higher though, so we might push deeper into this level here, really come and test. We do have, you know, previous resistance here, will be turn support, so we could push back a little bit lower, maybe around the 0.85 through 100 area, and then decide to push on. So I'm still going to stick with that buy, still looking at that same level. Do keep in mind that we could come back and retest the trend line, although that's looking a little bit unlikely, because if we do that, we might actually be turning bearish. But do be aware that could be on the cards. But for me, I want to be looking at this level pretty much. If I just make that a little bit thicker, actually, just to take into account this prior resistance a little bit more. So kind of this zone here, look to see if we can come back, get another retest of it, push back into that resistance there, and then we'll be looking for longs to the upside, because like I said, we're still above that trend line. My bias is still the upside. Targets will have to be this resistance here first, because obviously we're finding resistance here, sending us to the downside. And if you can get above, you can look to target 0.86500 area, which is this resistance up there. So more buys next week for Euro Pound, looking for a push into the 0.86500 area. And now on my screen, I've got AUD USD. So for this pair, again, a lot of upside momentum we saw this week. And like I said, for Euro USD, we saw a lot of USD weakness. So a lot of these USD pairs did head to the upside. And as you can see, AUD USD is one of them. So we are looking quite bullish here, pushing to the upside. The level I was looking at playing off this week was this level here. Price support, will return resistance, see if we can have a bit of a reaction at that level. If you drop to the 4H, it did line up quite nicely with this area of supply there as well. So I was looking for a push to the downside there for AU, but as you can see, we kind of spiked above, came down, and the news, you know, take us to the upside. So a lot of these USD pairs were affected on Friday because of the news, and did, you know, have a big pump to the upside or pump to the downside if it's USD CAD or USD CHF. So yeah, looking quite bullish here. We've broken through that level. I was talking about this consolidation here last week, saying, you know, we consolidated, broke to the downside, haven't retested, so we could come back for a retest, and it does look like that's exactly what we're doing now. I didn't expect price to come back for that retest, just because how much of a significant drop that was. I didn't expect to see that all that price action retraced within 1 week, pretty much dumped to the downside, and then we're back up again there the following week. So I didn't expect that to happen, but never say never in these forex markets here. And as you can see, we're almost back at that area, so I'm going to be expecting to see a reaction from this level here. As you can see, strong supply down the daily, and just fresh support, now term resistance, getting ready for a retest. So we'll be looking for selling opportunities there next week around the 0.73200 mark. Again, we're kind of just at that level right now, so monitor price action quite early on, see if we can get some nice rejection from there. We'll look to sell this back down into this support here, just because I'm not going to say all the way down there, even though we well could do that. It's just a bit of aggressive push, and we have found support there, so we could potentially come back down, find support there, and push back up again, and maybe even see a deeper retracement if price wants to do that. So do take that in mind. But I think for AU, a push from here is looking good, back down into this 0.72400 support looks good. Of course, monitor price action, see if we are getting good rejections, or if we do break past this, we do have this area here as well, where we had this kind of a little bit of a double top there, tested once, came back again, nice rejection to the downside, and again a nice area of supply there as well. So if you do push to the upside, break above this area, we'll probably feel that range to the upside coming back into here. But like I said, for Euro USD, for me, my bias is still to the downside. I still think the bigger move and the better move is still to the downside for AU, so not really interested in the buys, only interested in the shorts. And this area here, 0.73 200 and 0.73700 do look like a really nice level. So monitor price action in these levels. If we can get a nice trade, we'll take it to the downside. If it breaks through, we'll be looking at this level next, and again targets will be staying at this support down there. So more downside for AU, back down to 0.72400 for next week. Okay, so up next we've got NZD CAD. So for this pair, I was expecting more downside for this pair. As you can see, we actually did see quite a nice move to the upside. So overall, NZD CAD is a little bit choppy. Moves for this one have been hard to come by unless really buying at support and selling at the highs and buying at the lows. But within, price is just basically consolidating. I just draw a box around this price action. You can see we are moving sideways, which is a sign that potentially we could be in a reversal actually, because normally when you do see a massive dump to the downside, a massive sell-off, and the market starts to consolidate, starts to maybe find some higher lows, we potentially do break to the upside. I think that's what NZD CAD is potentially going to do. If I drop to the lower time frames, last week we were looking at selling opportunities from these two areas, that support and this area here, so the double top, and also support and term resistance. But as you can see, we broke through both those levels. So price for NZD CAD is looking bullish, and I think I'm going to change my bias to the upside as well, because we have taken out some key points here in the market. These two highs here, if I just get the highlights out, these two highs here were quite key, and as you can see, we've taken out both of them. So I think NZD CAD is now on its way to the upside, or we're going to at least try to break to the upside, because we still do have this very strong area of resistance in the market. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5, 6 attempts at trying to break through this area, and we keep failing. So it's a still strong area, but I do think NZD CAD is going to eventually break through that, if not next week, then the week after, and really see a move to the upside. So we'll be looking for buys for NZD CAD. I think the first opportunity we'll be looking at is if we can get a daily closure above this level, above 0.88425, because as you can see here, we've been failing to get closures above this level. So if you do get closure, that's the first time we've had a closure, and potentially we'll see the breakout after that. So first opportunity, you can get a daily closure above that, then the next day monitor price action on the retest, then look for some entries to go long. So break and retest essentially, but do wait for a daily closure, not 4 hour, not 1 hour, because it could easily be false break. You can see 4 hour we closed above there as well. So do wait for the daily, monitor price action on the retest, and look for buying opportunities. Or if you do have some deeper retracement back into this area, that'll be great as well. Support there, we have that nice double bottom, and looking at support there as well. So kind of got two areas we're looking at here for a push back up into that area. So the first area is, well, the first area is up here, 0.88536, but we do need to see a daily closure above that for that to be valid. And also we'll be looking at a push to the upside from this level here as well, so 0.87600. so a push to the upside from here. We'll be targeting this resistance here as well, because again, very strong area of daily resistance, which is still failing to break through. So we'll be targeting that. If you can break through that, then we can really push this trade on. If you have the break and retest, we'll be looking to target, we'll just scroll to the left, kind of this area here, where we've got all these wicks and resistance there. Take that across. I do think we can see a really nice breakout. If this is a reversal, we should really be flying to the upside when that breakout happens. So kind of to target all the way up there. A little bit aggressive, I know, because that is a big swing, but if we are having a reversal, that's why I do expect to see NZD CAD head to around just underneath the 0.9 mark. So yeah, more upside for NZD CAD. Daily closure above there, can look for buys from here or look for buys from there, but either way, more upside for NZD CAD. And if you do see the breakout, I do see a push all the way up to 0.9. And next up, we've got pound NZD. So for this pair, as you can see, big moves to the downside this week, which was expected, was favoring for the market to move down. We were looking for entries at these highs up here, so we did have this key level of daily resistance here, and I did say if the market does remain underneath, can look for sells, but if we do get above, can potentially look for buys on the breakout. As you can see, we kept at that price action last week, and we were looking for sales around here. So pretty much earlier in the week, we kept up that price action, and targets were these lows here, all the way down there. So really nice trade to the downside there for pound NZD. Like I said, if we did break above, start holding that support, I did say potential buys back up to 2.02, but as you can see, that never happened. The sales were looking good, and we did push to the downside. So pound NZD is looking bearish as expected. Last week I was saying I do expect to see this trend line here eventually break and really see pound NZD push to the downside, and I think we're going to be having that move finally coming up into next week. So pound NZD, I see a move into this area here, looking good, 1.94, 1.94500, this area here. As you can see, a nice spring to the downside, pushed up, consolidation. Looks like we're taking out that support, and this is where I do expect to see a push into 1.94. I'm not saying we're going to get a reversal, because we well could push down higher, low, push back up again. That could well be the case, but I think we're going to see some deeper retracement here, a lot of build up there. I think price is going to relieve itself to the downside back into this area. There may be some buyers could be coming back up again if we do tap into that area. So yeah, pound NZD will be looking for selling opportunities. You can see we're below that trend line now, so the first clear opportunity we'll be looking at is a retest of that trend line. So if price can come up again, retest that trend line, look for that price action, get into some sells, stops probably above that wick there, just in case we have a deep pullback, and we look at target that daily support there. Or because we do have really strong support here, which we are breaking through as well, we could easily get a retest of that and might not quite come up to test that trend line. So monitor price action. If we open in the morning and we really start pumping to the downside, then yeah, probably a retracement back to that resistance or support term resistance will look good, and then the selling opportunity back down to that 1.94. Or if we don't quite pump to the downside at the start of next week and we start finding support, start consolidating, maybe we'll probably see a deeper retracement back into that trend line and then push down. So see what price action is giving us. If we're really pushing down, then we can look for there, because it might not pull back enough, but if you can find support quite early on, then we probably will pull back enough to go and test that trend line. So yeah, only looking for selling opportunities coming into next week for pound NZD. First, well, I think the better trading setup is clearly the trend line, because the risk reward is a lot better, and we have that break and retest of that trend line. Whereas this one, we do run the risk of price pushing up again to come and test that trend line there. So maybe use a bigger stop loss there if we're looking to take some sales from there. But for both scenarios, do wait for that price action, do wait for those confirmations, and we look to sell it back down into these lows here. So more downside for pound NZD as long as we stay below that trend line and see a push back down into the 1.94500 stroke 1.94 area. And up next we've got CAD JPY. So another pair, expecting more downside, but we did see quite aggressive retracements this week. As you can see, very bullish move. We were looking for selling opportunities throughout the week with CAD JPY. As you can see, really nice area of support and resistances, support. So we were looking to sell from here. As you can see, the market was just very bullish, not much there, not much rejection there either, and as you can see, we broke through that level quite easily actually. So yeah, CAD JPY throughout most of the week was looking quite bullish. As you can see, we did run out of steam eventually, bit of a dip to the downside, but yeah, essentially we had quite a bullish week for CAD JPY. Coming into next week, we're still expecting more downside. I still believe this market is on its way down unless it takes up some key levels up around there. The structure is still to the downside. We're going to daily quickly. You can still see we're making lower lows, lower highs. So I do expect to see the market roll over to the downside next week. Might see some more retracement to the upside, but I think it would just probably be another opportunity to get involved in some shorts and ride this one to the downside. So for opportunities this week, CAD JPY, do you have a really key level of support and resistance coming through here, which we are tapping into right now. As you can see, support, now term resistance, really nice move there, will be resistance again. So we'll be looking for around this area for shorting opportunities for CAD JPY. Stops above that previous high, and we'll probably look to take this back down to those lows there. Don't have to look to take it down all the way to those lows, bit aggressive there. You can look for this support here as well, retest of that. We could be pushing onto those lows, but we might see some deeper retracement, so I do have to factor that in. But CAD JPY is looking bearish on the higher time frames, and I do expect to see momentum roll over. There is a chance that we might push up one more time for CAD JPY here, because we do have quite bullish price action on the daily. And if that's the case, this is the next level I will be looking to short at on the 87,600 mark. Price support there, broke through with a lot of momentum, no retest, so it could be coming back for that burst retest. I'm expecting to see a nice reaction to the downside there. So we'll be looking at around the 87,100 area and the 87,600 area for sells, and then targets around the 86 area, nice, or just underneath the 86 area actually. Well, actually more to the 85,600, 86 is up there. You can look to target 86, nice psychological level, but for this support, around the 85,600 level there. So CAD JPY, more downside. We'll be looking at these two levels here. Again, this is another pair that's kind of on that area that we're looking to sell at. So again, early on the week, coming into Sunday evening and Monday morning, monitor price action there, because there could be some nice sales setting up quite quickly if the market is to fall. If it does want to push up again, no problem, we'll be looking at this level next, take out that high, bit of liquidity, and then can look for a nice dive to the downside. But for next week, CAD JPY looking for more shorts, expecting more downside after this retracement back from the 85,600 level. Okay, so on my screen now I've got pound USD. So for this pair, I was expecting more downside this week. However, we mainly just got retracement this week, quite aggressive retracement. Wasn't expecting so much. As you can see, these are the two areas that I was looking at for sales this week for pound USD: 1.36800 and the 1.37,600. As you can see, the first level price just smashed straight through. Second level, we had a quite nice reaction to the downside, but then we used that first level as support and pushed back up again, and it was help from that US dollar news on Friday there as well, really pushing to the upside. So pound USD, a nice reaction there. However, we are still looking a little bit bullish here. On the higher time frames, we're clearly bearish. On the daily, we're clearly bearish. Weekly, we're clearly bearish. So I'm still expecting more downside for pound USD, and we do have a really nice area of resistance here, which price is respecting. So we'll be looking for sales in this area for next week, but do have to take in mind we do have this area here where we do have price support that we did break through. Really strong breakthrough. We could be coming back up for a retest of that area, so stops will be going above there if we do get a nice entry potentially, or if we do tap into that, we'll be looking for sales. Again, targets will have to be this support here, because we did find support quite aggressively there this week. But if we can break through that, we'll be targeting the lows all the way back down here around 1.36, nice psychological level there as well. So again, like the other USD pairs, apart from USD CAD, of course, we'll be looking for sales this week. If we do have more retracement than expected, we'll be looking at this area here. If we start taking out this level, then I might be waiting for price to come down to buy it back up again, because we could be seeing a lot more upside. But yeah, this is the next level I will be looking at for sales for pound USD, around 1.38600, all the way back down to those lows. Again, we'll be taking profit and partials at those levels there, because we know we could react for those levels. So coming into next week, more sales for pound USD. We're kind of trading at a nice area right now, so monitor price action quite early on again, see what type of reaction we have there. The market is still looking quite bullish actually for that momentum, so we do need to see a lot happen. Maybe some wicks to the upside could be nice, and then yeah, sell it back down into these levels. Or if we do push on, we'll be looking for sales up here, back down to that 1.36 level down there. Okay, so next up we've got pound CAD. So for this pair, I did have a bullish bias for this pair coming into the week. Was looking for a retest of this area here, since we had a big push to the upside. Was waiting for price to come down, retest, and show some nice continuation. However, as you can see, we actually broke through that level quite easily. Not much indication that price was holding. Broke through, retest, and then continued to the downside. So pound CAD right now is looking quite bearish, and I think we'll probably see more continuation to the downside. If I just zoom out for a second, you can see overall we are moving sideways. We do have consolidation, but I do think for pound CAD the next move is to the downside with this massive push up, massive push down. Really a textbook false breakout, liquidity grab, taking out these highs there, spiking through, initiating orders, and I think we'll probably see a move to the downside now, back down to 1.72, which is kind of this area there, to that support. We do have this support, which I am aware of. We might push into this level, reject, and push back up again, but I do expect us to break through it, with that extra liquidity grabbed above those highs there. I think we'll probably see that move to the downside, take out those lows there as well. So pound CAD, more downside coming into this week. It looks like we already have potentially a head and shoulders forming here, with the left shoulder here, quite exaggerated head, and then the right shoulder there. So I do expect to see a move to the downside, waiting for a bit of retracement coming into next week, potentially maybe into this area here, and then we'll be looking for sales at that resistance, tops above that area, and again looking to target this support, then that support down there. But I am aware that we might not have that retracement giving to us next week, so we'll be looking at this area on the lower time frames, the hourly time frame here. Nice resistance there, looking to see if we can get some nice retracement back into that same level there as well, and then push to the downside, and then again same thing, same bias, looking for sales to the downside. Again, monitor price action, see if we can get nice rejections and a push back down to 1.72. but either which way, more downside back down to 1.72 this week, and just monitor price action, because we could come back for a retest. We might not, might retest that hourly level down there. So yeah, more downside for pound CAD. Make sure you do take profits at that support. I personally would look to buy from that support, because I do expect it to break, but potentially there might be some nice short-term buys from that support. But yeah, we'll be looking to take sales, and yeah, we could reject that support and push on, so make sure you do take partials. But yeah, I do expect to see that support get broken and a push back down to 1.72 down there. Okay, so next up we've got pound JPY. So for this pair, again, more retracement to the upside this week. Again, overall we still do have that bearish bias. We are still looking for selling opportunities. Last week I was talking about this area here. Potentially we could come back, retest this area there. Nice support there as well. Big moves to the upside, so it does have some strength behind it. Was looking for a retest of that level last week, but as you can see, we actually have broken through that level and was looking for a push to the low. So price to give us some nice rejections there, but again we broke to the upside, and then again we are finishing quite strong towards the end of the week. So pound JPY still looking quite bullish here, but if you look at the higher time frames, the direction is to the downside. So I think we're just going to wait this one out and wait for opportunities to come later in next week. Looking at this area now, nice support there, which we've tapped into a couple of times. So if we keep up that rejection there, we'll be looking to get short from here and take that back down to these lows down there. around the 149,300 mark. So yeah, more downside for pound JPY. We'll be looking for resistance, more rejection around there, potentially another wick to the upside. After those 2 wicks, a third wick will be great, and you can short it back down to these lows. But if we do decide to break through this level and see some more retracement to the upside, that's perfectly fine. We'll be looking at this area next, around the 152,600 level. Really nice support there. Will be time resistance, so we'll be looking for a retest of that. Again, monitor price action and sell it back down again. Probably want to take some partials out here because we could bounce to the upside again. But if you can break through that, you know, we could be looking at a really nice swing all the way back down to those lows. So for pound JPY, I'm looking at more shorts coming into next week. Same bias as pound USD. Again, pound JPY, pound USD do move quite similar. So just waiting for that retracement to be over, and then waiting for those confirmations and getting involved in those sells, taking it back down to these lows around 149,300 down there. And next up, we've got gold. So for this pair, we saw more upside this week, and actually a breakout of the consolidation we had for the past week or so. As you can see, it had all this consolidation and we broke to the upside, had a key level of support there and a key level of resistance, sorry, my bad, key level of support, turn resistance, and a key level of support we were looking to buy from. So last week I was looking to sell from this level and looking to buy from there. As you can see, we didn't quite come into that level there, found support higher up before breaking to the upside, and then actually broke through that level there as well. So gold for me is still quite bullish in the higher time frames. Was expecting to see a dip to the downside midweek on the live stream, and if you haven't checked that out, make sure you go do that. We did see a nice dip there to the downside, but gold in the higher time frames is still looking quite bullish here, and I think we're actually having that breakout now. Probably going to challenge this resistance here. If you can break through that, then we'll probably see a lot more upside. But gold is looking quite bullish here coming into next week. We'll be looking for buying opportunities. If we can pull back down to this area, that would be nice. Have a nice trend line here as well. Connect these wicks here, so we tested this trend line multiple times, seeing if we can come back, pull into this area, retest it, retest the trend line as well whilst it's at it, and then push back into this resistance here around the 1830 mark. So looking for buying opportunities for next week for gold. There is a selling opportunity that potentially could look good, selling it back down into this level here. If we don't, because that's obviously hoping that we do retrace, we might not retrace, we might just push on. If we just push on into this level, can look for potential selling opportunities to sell it back down again, maybe back into that trend line or back into this support. But yeah, it does have to monitor price action because we could actually break through this level, and again, don't want to get into the trades too early. So could be some nice sells from here. We'll be looking for that opportunity myself if we do push on. And again, we'll be looking for price action though, but won't be too aggressive with it. We'll be just looking for a push back into the trend line or back into that support, because long term, like I said, I still do see gold pushing to the upside. So if we can retrace, looking for buying opportunities around there, retest of the trend line back into that 1830 mark. Or if we do just push on and we don't see that retracement, we'll be looking for selling opportunities from 1830 mark and sell it back down into 1795, which is this area there, or potentially that trend line which might be slightly above it. But either which way, I think gold will probably just stay in this side, this range here next week, this resistance and that support, looking for sells at that resistance and looking for buys at that support. Okay, so last but not least, we've got Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is still trading at this level here. Not much has happened this week, as you can see. Pretty much this is the price action for this week, just respecting that resistance there, but overall haven't really pulled away at all. Last week was looking for sells from this level here to the downside. And as you can see, you know, so far we have respected that area quite nicely, but the sells are short-lived. We have kind of pushed back into that area. If I drop into the 4H, you can see we push down but come straight back up here. So for me, Bitcoin still looking quite bullish here. We do have that bullish trend, and if we do break above that area, I do expect more upside for Bitcoin. If we go on the daily quickly, probably a push into this area here. As you can see, really nice support, which we did not get a retest of, around the 53,000 mark. So that's where we'll probably push to. So if we do break above this level, start holding as support, create some higher lows, maybe a double bottom something, can look for some buying opportunities back into that level up there. Stop just underneath that level. But if we don't and we respect this resistance because we do have a nice resistance here that price has come back into, maybe forming a double top here. So do have to be aware of that as well. And again, this is still acting as resistance on the daily as well, so potentially some sales could be looking good back down into this support down here for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's another one of those pairs that's at a key level now, which could be looking good for some buys if we can break above that level, hold it as support, or if we remain underneath a resistance, we'll be looking good for sales to take it back down to 44,000. So monitor price action, what it's doing now. Right now it's looking quite bullish with all this momentum here, not much downside there, so we well could break to the upside, use that as support and look for buys. But if we don't and we come back down again, wait for that retrace, look for that lower high, then take it back down to the 44,000 mark there for Bitcoin. So if you hold that as resistance, more sales to the downside next week for Bitcoin. But if you break above, be prepared to change that bias to bulls, and I think we could see a push back up to the 53,000 mark, all the way up there.
Okay, so that is the end of the video, guys. Hope you all enjoyed that and found that useful. Like always, if you have any questions, agree or disagree with my analysis, drop a comment down below and I will get back to you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more of the content, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any uploads. Leave a like if you enjoyed it or you're just feeling grateful. It will be much appreciated, guys. But it is the end of the video. I hope I see you guys in the next one.